I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. I'm here today with Ofer Ben-Nun, co-founder and CEO at Talon Cybersecurity, a 2022 Gartner Cool Vendor in Hybrid Work Security. Evolution Equity TV is brought to you by Evolution Equity Partners, an international venture capital investor partnering with exceptional entrepreneurs to develop market-leading cybersecurity and enterprise software companies. To learn more about Evolution Equity Partners, visit evolutionequity.com. Ofer, welcome. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. So, Ofer, so many people in our industry, CISOs, a lot of people who we interview on a regular basis are talking about Talon. You were named a 2022 Gartner Cool Vendor in Hybrid Work Security. Everybody's talking about security for the future of work. That's your message. That's what you're focused on. Give us the 30,000-foot view. What does that mean, and what does Talon do?
Sure. So Talon is a secure enterprise browser, which means that when we're thinking about the future of work, when we're thinking about the distributed and hybrid workforce, in a sense, the way that we've done security in the last decade versus the requirements of this new type of work environment is a little bit different. And the logic that in order to allow people to connect from any place in the world, from any type of device to any type of worker, employee, contractor, third party, accessing all of the web services of the organization, if that's on-premise or SaaS, we're able to do it in a secure and isolated way, allowing basically the security of the organization, but also all of the compliance requirements by installing a browser on these endpoints, which gives you all of the security layers that you need in order to satisfy the requirements of the organization.
Talon has great technology. You have a great message. How important is venture capital behind that? Some companies raise, relatively small amounts of money, seed rounds to get off the ground. And of course, the rounds, get exponentially larger. In your case, earlier this year, it was a $100 million raise. That was significant. How important was that to the company?
So I think it's pretty much critical to choose who are your investors. And I think we've been quite fortunate, to have a significant amount of capital, but a lot more important for that is the identity of the investors. I mean, we've been fortunate to be supported by 5 of the best cyber investors in the world. So our A round earlier in this quarter, so finished somewhere around end of August, allowed us to onboard Evolution Equity Partners as the lead investor for this round, which are the biggest cyber VC in Europe, but also the ability to bring CrowdStrike, Falcon Fund, and Merlin, which are huge support in the go-to-market into the federal, and to have the support from Sin Ventures, led by Jay Leak and Patrick Haim and Art Coviello, and Ballistic, with Jake Said and Kevin Mandia and Ted Schlein. So the ability to have some of these groups support our journey, bring their decades of experience into play. So I think it's quite a unique situation for us to be able to be supported by these organizations.
So you mentioned Art Coviello and Kevin Mandian. I mean, this is an all-star lineup in the cybersecurity space. Very impressive. You and I both know Richard Seawald from Evolution Equity. I'm curious, how did you meet them? How did they find out about you? And what was the process like?
So I think we've been fortunate to be approached by many organizations. So because it's a new category, and because the feedbacks from CISOs have been quite good during the first year and a half of the company. Usually, investors are asking CISOs, what do they think is the next cyber trends? What do they think they are going to be their major spendings going into the next year? And probably with this feedback, they've reached out to Talon. They liked the idea. They believed in the vision. Thankfully, they believed in us as the company that could lead this vertical and well positioned to make the impact. And that's how we connected eventually, and when they decided to support us on this journey.
So I have some more questions about the company and where you're headed, but everybody loves a backstory. Everybody wants to know, how does a cybersecurity company like yours get started up? So maybe you could take us back in time. How did Talon start up?
It's interesting enough. Uh, Both Ohad and I had a previous entrepreneurial journey. So in my case, in 2013, after about 8 years in 8200, the intelligence unit, I co-founded Argus, which was an automotive cybersecurity company acquired by Continental AG for about 430 million in 2017. I remained CEO for another 3 years, and when I left about 2 years ago, we had about 60 million cars on production contracts globally. And for Had, my co-founder, he was the founder of Lacoon Mobile Security. We know each other from 8200 intelligence days. And at Lacoon, they've been the first EDR for smartphones, started in 2011, acquired by Checkpoint in 2015. And then Ohad was there, the vice president of cloud security, endpoint detection and response, data leakage prevention, and mobile security. So pretty much everything in Checkpoint that is not the firewall. And we regrouped in June 2020, 3 months into the pandemic. And we asked ourselves, what is pretty much the biggest tectonic change? Where is the biggest gap, vacuum that we could bring value coming into this entrepreneurial journey for the second time? So we asked ourselves, what is as of a big of a problem as connected cars have been in 2013 or as smartphones have been in 2011? And 3 months into the pandemic, we had a bet, right? We had the thesis that the way that people are working the next decade is just very different than the way they used to work before. So the fact that people remain hybrid means that perimeter-based security is a little bit less efficient compared to the past. The long tail of SaaS services is becoming longer and longer. How can you really have the right visibility and control about these hundreds and in many cases thousands of SaaS services which are used by the organization? And how can you really provide this layer of security for any type of worker, if that's an employee or a contractor, devices which are managed or unmanaged, third party, really kind of let's have the same one device posture for any type of worker, any location, any device. And we thought, and we still believe in that very much, that there is a unique opportunity here to bring value to the world that is quite dramatic, something that makes us excited pretty much every day.
So a lot of people who are watching know Argus, a huge success story. I have to be honest, I didn't know you were the co-founder. Very impressive. And if history repeats itself, then Talon has an exciting future. Do you see Talon becoming as big and as successful as Argus was?
So I hope much more, right? So both Ohad and I, as first entrepreneurial journey, had a relatively quick success that ended in very nice exits, and these products are still flourishing and supporting many millions of endpoints and customers all over the world. But I think now the aspiration is to take it one step back. So can we build a sustainable, long-lasting company that hopefully one day can be taken public? Can we support hundreds of millions of users all over the world and make the way that they work a little bit simpler, more convenient, easier? So I think that now the aspiration is a bit bigger, right? Because always kind of you want the next step and to do one step bigger to bring more value, to have more impact. Long way to go, but we're quite ambitious about it.
So I'm curious what you think about the future of work itself. There was a report put out by Stanford University, and this was just about at the peak of COVID here in the US. And at the time, they estimated about 50%, half of our workforce in the US went remote, which that's an enormous number. Some of that is probably tailed off, but we still see an enormous workforce out there remote. We see a lot of corporate HQs, either shutting down or, paring their space down. What do you think the future looks like, Ofer? Is remote work here to stay permanently?
I think hybrid work is here to stay permanently. So there would be a mixture between 100% remote, 100% on-premise, and hybrid. And I think hybrid would be the biggest portion out of the three alternatives because, in a sense, it creates the mixture between productivity because you can concentrate in sometimes that you are only focused on your task, no interruption in many cases when you do it from your home office, time with your team on premise to do the better ideation, collaboration, togetherness, building kind of the team culture or company culture as a group. And this is probably the best mixture that allows high productivity, but also reduces a lot of, let's say, the less efficient time of commute and stuff like this. So it will be kind of hybrid. Some organizations obviously have to be 100% on-premise if that's manufacturing sites, right? Some organizations decide to build all of the company 100% remote. That has some advantages around the cost of facilities or around saying we want the employees mainly to be focused and less distractions potentially that can happen in a collaborative environment. But I think majority will take the approach of saying we want hybrid. We want to benefit from both worlds of concentration time, collaboration, reduced time of wasted commute, etc. I think hybrid is here to stay. I don't know if the mixture would be 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, or 1 day in the office, 4 at home, or 4 days in the office, 1 at home. But this hybrid work environment is not going anywhere.
We were at the Evolution Equity Investor Day held in New York City at the Ritz-Carlton last week. We were talking to Richard Seawald there about the labor shortage in our industry, the lack of cybersecurity workers. And I want to ask you about that, a couple of questions. So first off, Richard commented that it's his opinion that technology will play a big role. It's critical in being able to supplement that workforce. This isn't going to magically change overnight. We have 3.5 million open positions right now. There's not one CISO, Fortune 500, Global 2000 mid-market that we've interviewed who hasn't told us that's one of their biggest challenges. So what do you see, and how big of a role do you think technology plays in solving that problem?
I'm hearing that from majority of our customers pretty much on a weekly basis, right? The fact that it's hard to fill all of the open positions and to have the workforce to work and to operate all of the different tools, to analyze all of the different risks, to architecture all of the cyber requirements of the organization. This is something that is common to almost every organization in the world. Having said that, I completely agree that the better tools, the ease of operation, the consolidation. So from one tool, you can operate different functionalities, the integrations between the tools, getting better visibility. So instead of researching so many different tools, you have it in one platform is critical. And I think we have here an opportunity and also a commitment to support on this front. So we as cyber vendors need to make it a lot less labor intensive from the customer side. I think we should come up with recommendations, insights, make sure that we integrate with other systems. So we don't need to redefine again and again many different things. So hopefully we can support in that. And also how can we help our security practitioners become more efficient in what they do. So again, less wasted time on tasks, ease of operation, increased productivity. All of this I think is critical. And the last point, I guess we also have all responsibility to train more and more people coming for potentially other domains that right now potentially has lesser of a man shortage.
So I'm curious, your company, Talon, You're a vendor, so you're not a large enterprise, insofar as, what we might hear from CISOs. I imagine it's competitive for you. How hard is it? You're growing the company, engineering talent, sales and marketing talent, product management talent. It's a competitive market. Is that a challenge for you in the US, in Israel, and other parts of the world, just your own recruiting of people?
So first, 100% right. It's a challenge for everyone, especially with companies which are aiming at the top talents of the industry. So for us, which we are aiming to have a very high bar across the board on the engineering, on the product, on the sales, and the marketing people. When you are aiming for the best people, it's always a challenge. I think we're relatively fortunate to be in a position after winning our Innovation Sandbox, after having Gartner believe in us. So kind of in terms of positioning brand, the problem that we're solving, which is quite big, that we have high interest across the board from candidates. But it's still something that will always be a challenge, especially when you want to keep the bar extremely high and work only with the best of the best. But I think we're a little bit fortunate that, especially in this duration in time, we're extremely stable. We have a capital for many years to go. So I think we're fortunate where we are, but easy, no. Definitely not easy to bring and to have the top people in the world partner on our journey.
So I have to just ask you about one last thing, Ofer, before you go. The RSA conference, you were the Innovation Sandbox winner. That's a really big deal. It's stiff competition. We've been there every year for the past 4 years, and you really have the best of the best, who are there in that sandbox. Tell us a little bit about that. How meaningful was it to the company? I guess even emotionally for your employees, that's a really, really big recognition.
It was something that we dreamt of, right? So when we started the company, we imagined that maybe one day we could be a candidate to win our Innovation Sandbox. And when they announced our name, it was an extremely emotional moment because you have the top cyber people in the world as judges. They've seen everything. They know of every single different technology. They know of every single trend. They understand the technical aspect. They understand the business, the sales aspect, the requirements of the customers. Come and say, we believe on this category, we believe in this company. And you take a moment and say, just a second, is that company ours? Wow. So it was kind of a moment there. I think it was so exciting for our employees to get this trust and vote of confidence for these cyber leaders that chose us over so many other categories, over also so many other competitors in our domain. It was something unique, but also gave a lot of confidence to our customers, right? Because in a sense, they feel even bigger and higher confidence in this category. So this was quite an event for all of us. I think it supported the momentum quite a bit. It was big.
Well, we're fans. If you don't know that by now, we were there. We were at the Sandbox. So congratulations on that, and for building a great company. I know there's a lot more to come in 2023, and I hope you'll come back on with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ofer. I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. Joining us today was Ofer Ben-Nun, co-founder and CEO at Talon Cybersecurity, a 2022 Gartner Cool Vendor in hybrid work security. Evolution Equity TV is sponsored by Evolution Equity Partners, an international venture capital investor partnering with exceptional entrepreneurs to develop market-leading cybersecurity and enterprise software companies. Visit evolutionequity.com to learn more. You can keep up with all of our media at cybercrimemagazine.com.